2 years ago, I was entrusted with the responsibility of leading this chamber. And I can say without hesitation that my life has not been the same. It has been much better because in these 2 years, I have witnessed something extraordinary. I have seen what happens when community refuses to stand still, when business owners push forward despite uncertainty, when leaders choose collaboration over competition, when people come together not just with ideas, but with purpose. And today, we're not the same chamber we were 2 years ago. Yes, we have grown in numbers, but more importantly, we have grown in impact, in influence, in visibility, and trust. We have become a chamber that just doesn't speak for the community, it moves with the community. And for me, this work is personal because this is about people. The small business owner opening their doors every morning with hope, families striving for stability and dignity, and a community that continues to rise even when the path is not easy.
Welcome to another episode of Uptown Voices, where you'll meet the unsung heroes transforming Washington Heights, Inwood, Harlem, and the South Bronx. I'm Octavio Blanco, a veteran journalist. My co-host, Led Black, is the voice of Uptown. This is Uptown Voices. Hi there, welcome to the policy breakfast of the Washington Heights Chamber of Commerce. You are one of the board members of the Chamber of Commerce. That's one of the hats that you wear, but you're also a local business person. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? What do you do here, not only in the chamber, but here as a business person and entrepreneur?
Thank you, Octavio. Yes, I'm a member of the Washington Heights and Inwood Chamber of Commerce. We're very excited that we have the annual breakfast. This is one of the largest events that we have hosted, and we have a really good turnout. I am a real estate broker.
And what's your name again?
Sandra Rodriguez. I'm a real estate broker here in New York State. So I specialize in residential. Well, first of all, I'm happy to be part of the chamber, one, because it's 100 years old and I love to serve and be part of the community. So that's why I joined the chamber. Because of its 100 years, I feel like it's important for us to continue to provide empowerment to the community, to the business owners. Jackie Aleman, as our president, is doing an amazing job at offering all type of different tools, new tools for our businesses to continue to grow and to thrive in New York City.
So let me ask you, you're a real estate broker?
Correct.
And you're specializing in
Residential.
And you operate here in Uptown and also in other places in New York.
So I'm New York State licensed. I'm happy to help my buyers and sellers throughout New York. Wherever my buyers want to shop, that's where I will go.
So tell me, since we're uptown, about the specific uptown market. What is it that you think that people need to know about purchasing a home uptown?
Well, most importantly, I find that I educate a great deal of my clients because they think that purchasing is so far away from what their dream is, and they can have a dream and they can meet their dream. And the way they do it, most importantly, people need to understand what their buying power is. You can go to any of your local banks or where you're banking currently and just ask for pre-approval. A pre-approval doesn't cost you anything, and you can get it within 24 to 48 hours. That's the first step. Understanding how much can you buy. And then at that point, of course, there's banks. And I think more and more banks are understanding that they need to offer better programs, FHA, Sony May, all these different programs that help our buyers and encourage them to purchase. So when you go into a bank, most importantly, ask what are the programs that are being offered in New York City for first-time home buyers.
And the chamber also offers a lot of educational opportunities. What kind of resources the chamber for not just business people, but also just people who are interested in understanding how businesses work here in Uptown?
So as an entrepreneur, when you're a real estate broker, you pretty much do your administration yourself. You do the sales. You create a pipeline of the clients that you're looking for, and you research properties for your clients. So there's a great deal of work as an entrepreneur. Most importantly, the chamber offers different tools. Like, for example, we're in an AI world, and it's very important that we at least have an understanding of what AI can do for us and help us advance or do some of the jobs, the administrative work that we do, write up a script or write up, a description of a property. So that's how I use it. But understanding that they're new tools and that we need to be familiar with them, and the chamber is bringing that to you.
That's right. And so lastly, what are some of the needs that you as a real estate person would like to see the city and the state pour into and into your industry?
Again, I feel like it's about education, right? I'm Spanish speaking, and a lot of our Spanish speaking potential homeowners, like I said, they don't know how to start. So understanding that the banks should be offering, making it prevalent and visible to their consumers that they do offer lending for first-time home buyers. That's really important. And of course, affordable housing for all is really important. I am a broker and I would love you to buy a house, but at the same time, we all live in this city and it has to be affordable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
Thank
really
you, Tavi.
appreciate
It's
it,
a
Sandra.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for being here at the Washington Heights Chamber of Commerce Policy Breakfast. A great event, the largest event that the Chamber does every year, all to help the businesses in Washington Heights. Let's start by introducing you. What's your name and what is your organization?
Sure. So my name is Joel Abreu. I am the Business Development Officer or Loan Officer of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. We're a CDFI, and CDFI stands for a Community Development Financial Institution. We are basically a lender, right? We're a mission-led lender. So our goal is to inject capital into small businesses, whether it's a mom and pop or a not-for-profit or big developers. We also do construction loans, pre-development loans, term loans, and business lines of credit.
How does an entrepreneur looking to start a business connect with you guys? And do you feel that that there's understanding of what a CDFI is and what UMES does?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it starts here, right? Get in touch with me. I'm going to send my email, jabreu@umes.org. It starts having the conversation, right? We're here at this event, this great event, and we want to have that conversation. CDFIs are the intermediaries between a big bank that may, your business might get lost, right? I used to work at JP Morgan Chase. We called it the no factory. But a CDFI, we know the landscape. We know what it is to do business in Washington Heights. I used to be the business development officer, business development chair of Community Board 12. I spoke at this event before, so I kind of know what it is to have a small business here in Washington Heights, in Harlem, in Central Harlem, East Harlem. So a CDFI knows this. They understand that sometimes there's shortfalls in cash flow, right? There's barriers that, somebody like a Chase or a Bank of America might not know, right? And that's what CDFIs fill that gap.
Right. You're much more like in tune with the community and knowing what's going on. Let's talk about the chamber a little bit.
Right.
So the chamber is here for small businesses, but the chamber is like the oil in your engine. It lubricates everything. It puts people together. What's the relationship like between UMES and the Chamber of Commerce? And what do you have to say about an event like today and the role that the chamber plays?
Listen, the chamber is critical, right? It's kind of like a business resource hub. And UMES looks to be one of those resources for small businesses. It plays a vital role into the knowledge, right? Once a small business is operating, they need knowledge. They need to learn what a balance sheet is, an income statement, how to file taxes. So we as lenders can look at that, analyze that, and inject capital.
Great. All right. Is there make sure let's make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with you guys.
Yeah. So you can reach me at jabreu@umes.org. We want to fund these businesses. Shoot me an email.
Bienvenida aquí al el Policy Breakfast, el desayuno de política del Washington Heights Cámara de Comercio. Este es uno de los grandes eventos aquí en Washington Heights de nuestra Cámara de Comercio. Pero antes de que hablemos de eso, por favor, ¿cuál es su nombre y cuál es su empresa?
Claribel Peña, y la empresa se llama Ramírez Product Import, representando a Claribel Sazón.
Y dígame, para los audientes y los que no sepan qué es un sazón, dígame, ¿qué es el producto que ustedes producen y que ustedes venden?
Bueno, Claribel Sazón es un sazón que se usa para sazonar cualquier tipo de comida, todo tipo de carne. Es un sazón fabricado en República Dominicana y lo traemos aquí a Estados Unidos y lo distribuimos en todos los supermercados.
Y usted me está diciendo que está en 400 supermercados en 8 estados.
Así es, correcto.
¿Y en cuánto tiempo ha usted estado trabajando para traer este sazón a los Estados Unidos?
Bueno, realmente esta marca la creó mi papá hace 35 años y le puso Claribel Sazón, pero aquí en el país ya estamos alrededor de 3 años y medio en distribución. Realmente la comunidad me ha apoyado bastante. Amo a Washington Heights y, ¿cómo le explico? Es algo que vino a cambiar la comunidad, la comida, la cocina. ¿Por qué? Porque es un sazón completo bajo en sal.
Oh, es bajo en sal.
Así es.
Importante. Mira, yo te voy a decir que soy un fanático. Yo soy mexicano y todos dicen que hay mucha fama en la cocina mexicana y es la verdad. Pero la cocina dominicana me encanta.
Exquisita. Realmente, no solamente tenemos el sazón, tenemos canela, tenemos flor de Jamaica, tenemos el orégano, que es el único orégano puro en el país, Claribel, el orégano de Claribel, y tenemos otros productos. Así que le invito a que me sigan en mis redes en @claribelsazón, @claribelsazón en Instagram, para que puedan ver el trabajo que estamos haciendo en la comunidad.
Y dígame, vamos a hablar un poquito de la Cámara de Comercio. ¿Cómo ve usted la Cámara de Comercio? ¿Es miembro? ¿Está interesada en trabajar con la Cámara de Comercio? ¿Qué puede darle a usted de ayuda a organizaciones como la Cámara de Comercio?
Bueno, realmente yo estoy muy agradecida de la Cámara de Comercio y al mismo tiempo de la presidenta Jackie Alemán. Soy miembro de la Cámara y, por ejemplo, la Cámara de Comercio impacta a la comunidad. ¿Por qué? Porque a través de este networking es que uno comienza a dar oportunidades, ya sea de trabajo, y al mismo tiempo a conocer personas para uno también expandir la marca. O sea, uno expande la marca a través de estos eventos.
Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros y por estar aquí.
El placer es mío. Bendiciones para todos y recuerden que Dios le ama a todos.
Gracias, gracias. Okay, welcome to the Washington Heights Policy Breakfast, one of the biggest events that the Washington Heights Chamber of Commerce does every year. Tell me, what is your name and what is your business?
My name is Navi Stoller with Navi Times Commercial Real Estate. We're one of the commercial real estate brokers in Northern Manhattan, probably one of the leading ones right now. And we really concentrate on Northern Manhattan commercial leasing, both retail and office and medical space.
That's great. And so how long have you been working in Uptown providing these services?
I'm going on my 25th year in Northern Manhattan. We opened up in just right around 2000, and we've been really concentrating on building the commercial landscape in Northern Manhattan.
And what's the market like, and what are your clients looking for when they're looking for spaces in Northern Manhattan?
The market seems to be very strong right now. We're getting a lot of new businesses coming in, a lot of businesses that are opening second and third locations. And we just feel like the market is ready. The neighborhood's hungry for new businesses. During COVID, people saw that Northern Manhattan was open for business, that it was one of the communities that people were still out like shopping and spending money on, in the storefronts. So I think that a lot of businesses during that time started moving north and taking these storefronts. So during that time, really the market became very strong.
That's interesting to hear, because it's something that many people may not realize, that Uptown, the real estate marketplace for commercial real estate, is a strong market. And you're right. I think that there are a lot of people uptown who are craving new experience.
Well, it has very small percentage of commercial space in Northern Manhattan. I think there's probably 5 or 6% to 95% residential. So when these commercial spaces really serve a purpose, they become very important to the people that are living here. And that's what people in Midtown during, when the Broadway was closed or tourism was closed, they came uptown. They saw that people were living here. People were needing the services that are on the street. So it became very important for during that time. And I think that it really hasn't changed. I think that the trend is really trending north. And I think even after 9/11 or after Hurricane Sandy, everything trended north. And I think that is still, the area is just very strong and really primed and ready. I think it has its challenges. There are things that we need to work on, but I think that once we get these businesses going, we need to patronize them. We need to get the people out to really know that they're here. And I think that's kind of why I'm here today, is I wanted people to know that we're open for business. Come and shop. You should patronize your local small businesses. It's very important.
And talking a little bit about those challenges, what is it that the state and the city government can do to help both entrepreneurs like you offering commercial leases and properties, but also the small business people who are looking to set up shop uptown?
Well, when people take these spaces, sometimes they've already been in businesses for 10 or 15 years. So there's lots of new things that need to come into place. So the red tape, I've had, restaurants that I've rented, second generation restaurants that are harder to move into than blank, spaces that aren't restaurants because, things become outdated, the ventilation. There's lots of red tape that I think that we do need to cut through to figure out how to improve the infrastructure. I'm doing a deal right now here on Fort Washington that we need to put in a ramp to make it ADA compliant. And I think that becomes important to really, when it comes to projects like that, I think it really not only cut through the red tape, but the city needs to, when a landlord's ready to do that, they should have all green lights to go and do that project.
Right. So when there are upgrades and things like that, there needs to be an assistance from the government to help the entrepreneur understand what they need to do, but then also to implement it. It shouldn't just be all on the entrepreneur, I'm guessing. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. I don't get into that sort of political aspect of it, but my main thing is that I think that we need to work together to help nourish our small businesses in whatever fashion they need.
And speaking about nourishing the small businesses, what about the Chamber of Commerce? We're at this great event. There's so many people here. How does the Chamber contribute to nourishing the small businesses?
Well, I'm happy to see it, because I just think that this is exactly what we need. We need to spread the word. We need to open up the communication between the small businesses and the government. I think it needs to happen. And I think that this is exactly hitting on all cylinders, is exactly what the doctor ordered in this case. But I really love to see it.
Awesome. Thank you, Navi. Thank you for taking your time.
I'm Dr. Adam Aponte. I'm the CEO for the East Harlem Council for Human Services. It's a non-for-profit based in East Harlem, New York, 61 years old. It has multiple programs under its umbrella, including the Borinquen Neighborhood Health Center, which is a federally qualified health center.
That's great. And my understanding is that you're looking for opportunities to expand, and you're considering an expansion here into the Washington Heights area.
Yeah, so we've been in East Harlem serving that community for years. For those of your listeners and viewers, FQACs provide primary preventive care services to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay. And in Washington Heights, there is a dearth of providers like ourselves. So when you look at this entire community, the 10033, 10040 community, there's only two small FQACs, and then you have the hospital, which is a very different beast than a community health center such as ours. So we want to lend our services to Washington Heights. We feel based upon the fact that we were in East Harlem, Bot Hill, Latino community, we feel that we can come into Washington Heights and provide similar services.
And so tell me again, what are some of the services that you provide, and how does it work?
Yeah. So I like to describe it from womb to tomb, right? Everything from prenatal care, pediatrics, adult medicine, dental care, behavioral health services, care navigation. We try to bring as many services under one roof as possible to help people navigate this really complicated healthcare system, right? We can all get lost in this system. How it works? You walk through our door. That's all you got to do. Regardless of your ability to pay, regardless of your immigration status, we will see anyone who comes to our door. If you have insurance, we'll charge your insurance. If you don't, we have something called a sliding fee scale where we base it upon your income. And for people who are really, really low income, we give the care free, right? And so it's a great model. It's a safety net. is to ensure that no one falls through those cracks and has access to essential primary preventive care services.
That is incredible service. And I hope that you are able to come up into our area because it really is an area that could use these kinds of services. Healthcare is so important. And especially nowadays with the political situation, it seems like it's getting more out of reach for people. What is it that keeps you going? What is it that keeps your business going? And what keeps you going to try to offer these really, really important services?
Well, this is very personal for me. I'm an East Harlem kid, from Puerto Rico, born and raised in East Harlem, grew up poor, and really understood the challenges of getting great healthcare, witnessing in my own community what we today call health disparities. I want to change that for my community. So that was really, really important to me. And to your point, it is very challenging. There's a lot of headwinds out there now, particularly with, HR 1 and the changes to Medicaid, funding cuts at the state. Right now, as we stand here today, the state budget has not been passed, and we're looking for some assistance to continue doing the work we do. Remember, we see uninsured individuals. Those individuals still have a cost to us. And so we need the help of our federal government and our state and local governments to cover that gap for us so we can continue to provide these essential services. So I'm motivated by my passion for my community and the importance of making sure that everyone deserves great healthcare access, regardless of your zip code.
That's excellent. And so for those of us who are watching, those of us in the audience that are watching, how can they find you? Where are you located? What are your socials? All that good stuff.
So we're on 123rd Avenue in East Harlem, New York. Borinquen Neighborhood Health Center is the name of the building there. We're on, obviously, our website is www.borinquen, that's BORIKEN.org. By the way, that name Borinquen is the original name of the island of Puerto Rico before the Spaniards came in. That's what the Taínos called it, right? I'm on LinkedIn, so just look up Adam Aponte on LinkedIn, Borinquen Neighborhood Health Center on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 Policy Breakfast of the Chamber of Commerce of Washington Heights in Inwood. My name is John Greenfield. I am the Vice President of the Chamber, and I am so excited to be with each of you here today because this is our largest policy breakfast in the history of the Chamber, a sellout crowd. Thank you to each and every one of you. And thank you also to the Armory for hosting us. How do you guys like this new space for us? And to Lolico Productions, who made all of our AV possible today. And I want you throughout the day, I know many of you already have, to take the time to visit our local businesses. They are our chamber partners. I see many of you have their coffee, their breakfasts, their teas. You've had a chance to speak to many of them. If you haven't, please take the time, because the chamber doesn't work without our members. That is our reason for existing, to support the many great local businesses and institutions in Washington Heights and Inwood. And I am so honored to bring up our first speaker today. She is my partner at the Chamber and our fearless leader who has done so many great things over the last few years of her tenure. And with that, I'd like to bring up Jackie Aleman, our president.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. Isn't this place amazing? I tell you, the first time I came here, I was like a kid in a candy store, and I'm still in that candy store. So thank you, Rita, Jonathan, the Armory staff, who have been wonderful to us for hosting us. So thank you very much. Since 1921, our chamber has been more than an organization. It has been a force uplifting businesses, championing equity, and creating opportunity where they need it most. Today, I stand before you deeply honored to be part of that legacy, and even more honored to help carry it forward. 2 years ago, I was entrusted with the responsibility of leading this chamber, and I can say without hesitation that my life has not been the same. It has been much better, because in these 2 years, I have witnessed something extraordinary. I have seen what happens when community refuses to stand still, when business owners push forward despite uncertainty, when leaders choose collaboration over competition, when people come together not just with ideas, but with purpose. And today, we're not the same chamber we were 2 years ago. Yes, we have grown in numbers, but more importantly, we have grown in impact, in influence, in visibility, and trust. We have become a chamber that just doesn't speak for the community, it moves with the community. And for me, this work is personal because this is about people. The small business owner opening their doors every morning with hope, families striving for stability and dignity, and a community that continues to rise even when the path is not easy. We are here today not just to discuss policy, but to reflect on impact because policy is not about paperwork, it's about people. And if we're going to lead effectively, then what we build must be accessible, equitable, and real. We must not create a system people cannot navigate. We must build pathways people can actually walk. And that kind of progress requires all of us. It requires partnership. It requires trust. It requires listening and building together. Because the strongest solutions are never created in isolation, they are built together. As we look ahead, let us remain grounded in this truth. Our responsibility is not just to lead, it is to serve with intention, with integrity, and with heart. Before I leave the stage, I want to share two upcoming events that reflect exactly who we are as a chamber and where we are going. This summer, join us for Salsa in the Heights, part of our exciting Latin Jazz in the Heights series, featuring live music and salsa lessons in collaboration with our sister organization, Cloth. Thank you, Yvonne. This lively celebration will take place at La Plaza Las Americas on June 20th, starting at 2 p.m. Come dance, come and connect, and celebrate the rhythm of our community. And the second event is in December, where we will once again host our annual holiday celebration and toy drive in support of Cuentos con Santa. Cuentos con Santa is an initiative dedicated to fostering a love for reading in children. These are not just events, they are invitation. They are intentional moments where families and business connect, where culture is celebrated, and where we invite others to experience everything our community has to offer culturally, through its food, and as one unified voice. Before I close, I want to make something very clear. Events like this just don't happen by chance. This event was brought to life by chamber members, individuals who have generously contributed their talent, their time, their skill to make it happen. This dedication, passion, and their commitment are the reason we're all here today. So I ask you, please, to join me in giving them the recognition they truly deserve and a heartfelt round of applause. To our members, our partners, our elected officials, our board of directors, and to all of you who are here today, thank you. Thank you for believing in this work. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for being part of this journey. Because this chamber, this community, this movement, it belongs to all of us. And together, we're just getting started. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So, in addition to this year being the largest chamber breakfast in our history, this is also a very momentous year for our city and our country. This is, of course, the 250th anniversary, and much of the history that we know and learned about growing up, it happened right here in Washington Heights. And so, as you look forward to July 4th, whether you have the opportunity to go to the Morris Jumel Mansion, maybe stop and get a coffee from Booney Coffee, stay at the Edge Hotel, do a little staycation, consider Washington Heights in Inwood as part of your summer plan. And this really historic, momentous year for our country. And as we're celebrating all the history that happened right here in the borough of Manhattan, we are very fortunate to be joined by our representative for the borough, our borough president, Brad Hoylman Sigal, who I'm going to be calling up here to offer a few remarks to everyone today.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brad Hoylman Sigal. I have the honor and distinction of being the 29th Manhattan Borough President. I follow big shoes to fill, and your former council member for this area, Mark Levine. But let me just say, Controller Levine, as he's known now, has been incredibly gracious and helpful to my team, which is here, which I do need to shout out. The Deputy Borough President, Misha Smith, is here. Our Director of Community Affairs, Marielle Ali, is here. And everyone knows the most popular guy in my office, the Deputy Director of Community Affairs, Porfirio Figueroa. He's amazing, and I'm just very grateful to have him on board. And let me just say, as I've entered this new job, you know, I used to represent the west side of Manhattan up to 103rd Street, actually from Christopher Street, home of the Stonewall and birthplace of the LGBTQ human rights movement, up to 103. I used to say from the gay bars to Zay bars, but I can't say that anymore because it's the entire borough. I need something that rhymes with Inwood, but I've had amazing colleagues in government, and I saw them in action just this past week when there was that tragic fire at 207 Dykeman. So I just want to shout out Congressman Espaillat, who's an amazing ally, and a woman who knows the ground like no one else, Councilmember De La Rosa. So she's been incredible and helpful to me. And I do see that our Nightlife mayor is here, Jeffrey Garcia. See you out in the bars later on. And of course, thank you to Rita and Jonathan for this amazing space. I've never given remarks in a track before. So if things go south, you know the exit pretty well and quickly. But it's incredible. And thank you for this work. And of course, the chamber, Jackie, you have built an institution that will live long beyond any of us here. So I'm just so proud to be here today. And thank you, John. And thank you, Barton Jackson, for representing our community as the executive director of the National LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. So thank you. We're going to do some work together on a disparity study. We just decided that this morning. And so I just want to, you know, back to the fire and how we and your elected colleagues work together. We're working with the council member and the congressman on getting HPD to help residents apply to get their rent reduced so they can maintain their leases and return when it's properly safe to do so. And the council member has updates on that. We also have an office, as many of you know, at 125th in Amsterdam. We're using that as a place to drop off supplies to assist those displaced. And if you have anything you wish to donate, be in touch with the council member, or you may go directly to 431 West 125th. And, you know, as borough president, which is different than when I was state senator, we have resources. Not only do we have an amazing team, but we have some monetary resources that we hope to be distributing to the local community in connection with this tragic fire, but also with nonprofits who need resources during this very difficult time for budgeting. So we're announcing something called Manhattan Flash Grants, and nonprofit organizations can apply to them. They are up to $20,000 a grant, and therefore reimbursable expenses. And Porfirio put some of these flyers out on the desk when you walk in, but you can apply starting today. And there's a QR code to show you how to do it. The other thing we're doing in anticipation of the World Cup and all the activity that's going to be involved with that is we are building on my predecessor's volunteer corps. So one of the things I've heard about on the campaign trail and now as borough president is so many people who want something to do. You know, it's cathartic, especially when, as the congressman knows better than any of us, when things are dark and foreboding in Washington. What can we do? Well, we're building on the controller's volunteer corps, and we already have over 500 Manhattanites signed up, both old and young Manhattanites and some people in the middle. And we're working with Big Apple Greeter, which is a greeting institution of Manhattan volunteers to welcome tourists to our borough, and we hope to work very closely with them to welcome the FIFA World Cup international tourists who will be here to show the side of New York City that we all know, which is friendly and welcoming and multilingual, and that's going to be important. So I wanted to make certain you knew about that. And let me talk just a bit about small business and how that's important to us. You know, the thing I hear from many small businesses, and I'm looking forward to sitting down with the new Small Business Services Commissioner, who has a stellar reputation. But we often hear that, you know, there's a big bureaucracy and how do you cut through the red tape, whether it's licensing or sidewalk cafes or the state liquor authority, which I know something about. How can we be helpful? How can my office be helpful as a resource? So we are instituting a small business navigator within the confines of our office, an actual live human being to help our small businesses in Manhattan interact with these city and state agencies that really provide the lifeline to our businesses. So we're happy to get that underway, and we're going to begin seeking a lot of advice from Small Business Services on how to do that. One of the things we want to do, and we've all seen it through Manhattan, you're walking down the street and you see a line like it's 3 blocks long, and you're like, what the hell is that? And I'm always walking up to those people and saying, what are you in line for? And, you know, there was actually a Saturday Night Live skit about it. They called it Dumb Long Lines. But what they are small businesses that are going viral on social media. And, you know, it could be a croissant, it could be a new shoe, it could be a new article of clothing. Well, my office is going to have a going viral seminar with some experts in social media to help our small businesses jump onto that parade of long lines and hopefully help their business model thrive. So I think that's a good idea, and I hope to tell you more about it. And then the final thing I'll mention is my capital grants, which the borough president has the honor of dispersing to our community. This year, I am focusing the entirety of our capital grants in the range of $35 million in supporting arts and cultural institutions all across the borough. Again, with things in Washington, with freedom of expression under attack, with NEA grants being decimated at every level, we think it's important to support cultural institutions. We're saying to them, here's $2 million, but we want you to raise another million or another two privately from your resources, from your board, from other government actors to increase accessibility and availability to Manhattanites. You know, one of the things that I find most distressing is when I meet a young kid, let's say in a local high school, they've never been to Air Barrio, they've never been to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We need to make certain that young people have access and are interested and engaged in the amazing cultural opportunities. So we want to take the $35 million of capital grants, which is your tax dollars, not mine, and convert that into, I don't know, $50 or $60 million. And we're calling that the Manhattan Multiplier. So I hope you hear more about that. And then finally, an issue that is across the borough, but really only from 96th Street to Reed Street, is a tax that is only imposed on small businesses in that sector, not up here, but from 96 to Reed. It's called the commercial rent tax, and it sometimes can cost a small business $25K a year. There was a speaker a few decades ago who removed that tax in every borough. It was a 5-borough tax at one point, except for Manhattan. Turns out he was from Queens, so it was smart on his part to do that. But he left Manhattan as the only place where this tax is imposed, where we're working with state lawmakers, and I've commissioned a study from the Independent Budget Office to see how that tax hurts our small businesses in Manhattan. So those are a few areas where I'm working to encourage small business generation. But I really intend to continue to work with the chamber here and build on all of your efforts, Jackie, because small businesses, we know, are the heart and soul of our local communities and the heart and soul of Manhattan. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Borough President. I imagine we have a couple of businesses that are going to want to take advantage of that viral education class, because one of the challenges that many businesses face is getting the word out there. And I think that that's going to be a really great opportunity for many of our partners at the Chamber. We're also honored to have a number of other elected officials with us today. And perhaps most importantly, when we talk about the opportunities that our federal government can provide local businesses, we have no greater champion than our local Congressmember for the 13th District, Congressmember Adriano Espaillat, who I would like to welcome to the stage to say a few words before he makes his way back to DC to get back to all the hard work on our behalf. Congressmember.
Okay, how's that? Well, welcome to the Armory. And thank you, Rita and Jonathan. This is the home of for some of you that may not know, the home of the National Track and Field Hall of Fame. It's also the home of the Millrose Games, the biggest indoor track games that traditionally were held at Madison Square Garden, but are now being held here. So Rita and Jonathan, thank you for all you do. This is a place where we vaccinated over 300,000 people during the pandemic, and a place that still houses hundreds of seniors that exercise on a regular basis here during the daytime. And of course, an important venue for the district and the city of New York. So thank you to the Armory for opening your doors and for what you do for the neighborhood. You also have a new dehumidifier that it's not air conditioning, it's a dehumidifier that makes the air quality a little bit better. But anyway, transportation. I think that Northern Manhattan is uniquely positioned in the long, narrow neck of Manhattan. And as such, it is also uniquely positioned to be a transportation hub, not just for the city of New York, but for the entire region. For that reason, the 2nd Avenue subway is being constructed in East Harlem, the biggest transportation desert in the country. It will move over 200,000 people every day and decongest the most overcrowded line, the Lexington Avenue line in the East Side. But it will also connect Harlem, East Harlem, and Northern Manhattan to the rest of the world. Now, the 3rd phase of the 2nd Avenue subway, which, as I said, the 2nd Avenue subway is a $7.7 billion project. The 3rd phase proposes to go west and connect to the number 1 line. That has been pronounced already by Governor Hochul to be the next phase. And that will create a transportation hub in Northern Manhattan that will rival Grand Central Station. In fact, the project is called Uptown Grand Central. And you will no longer have to go down to Times Square to cross over from the west side to the east side or from the east side to the west side. You'll be able to do it on 125th Street. With that, of course, you'll have future water transportation on both the Hudson and the Harlem River, and you'll have a connection to Metro North that goes to 12 counties as far up as Connecticut. Also, rapid bus services to LaGuardia Airport. That will transform Northern Manhattan. You will no longer have to go downtown. You will be able to do it uptown. And so transportation is critical. And at the center of that transportation model is congestion pricing, which has been a tremendous success. Congestion pricing was the tool that we had to present to the Federal Transportation Administration to ensure that we argue that the finances were in place to take care of the rest of the subway system while constructing a $7.7 billion project, which is the 2nd Avenue subway. In addition to that, City College is running the Wrangell Center with $13 million, which is training young people in transportation and infrastructure jobs so that they could be ready to compete for those prevailing wage jobs that project, as well as Gateway and other infrastructure projects across the country, offer. Last year, they trained over 1,000 young people, and we'll continue to train them as we go forward. Both the late Congressman Rangel and myself felt that this should be not just a national project, but an international project. And this year, the Rangel Center will be traveling to Greece to show that government what models they're implementing to provide opportunities for jobs for young people here in the district. So that's the Second Avenue Subway, an important one. The second project is the Kingsbridge Armory in the Northwest Bronx, not too far away from here, which is the biggest armory in the country, 500,000 square feet. It proposes to be an economic engine to the Northwest Bronx. It will provide housing. It will provide an entertainment venue run by Live Nation, training for union jobs, as well as educational space and open space. Finally, the third project is a full-blown cultural center for Northern Manhattan, consistent with the established Dominican Historical District that will provide first-class access to art, history, and culture in the northern tip of Manhattan. These are three signature projects that together will provide thousands of jobs, economic activity, and great opportunities for small businesses. Two other areas that I want to also, and by the way, the Kingsbridge Armory came as a result of a budget opportunity given by the mayor and the governor, each of $100 million, to ensure that the space will be built. Finally, after years of waiting, that part of the Bronx, which was the hardest hit by the pandemic in the entire country, will get an opportunity to see some economic growth. The two other items that I think are important are energy costs. Now, very often we hear from small businesses that the rent is high, of course, that maybe foot traffic is down, the regulations are overburdened. But energy costs continues to be one of the biggest challenges for small businesses. A small bodega with all refrigeration equipment and a bodega cat hanging around often have to pay $2,000 and even $3,000 worth of light bills in summer months. So we are proposing, as we did in the past, a program that will assist those businesses with the installation of free smart energy equipment that will reduce their energy costs by 30, 40, and up to 50%. This year, we're doing it with beauty salon and barbershops. In the past, we've done them with bodegas and other small businesses. We will be doing that with the help of the Hispanic Federation. The third and final issue that I want to address to you is ICE, because clearly the presence of ICE has created a clear and present danger that generates fear in the community and as such impacts the level of foot traffic in many of the commercial strips in the neighborhood. So we must do whatever we can first, not just to, you could call it abolish, dismantle, whatever you want to get rid of ICE, but we do that by taking the money away. $75 billion were given to ICE for the creation of beds and hiring of new ICE agents. Just to acknowledge the magnitude of that, you must consider that last year the city's budget was, I think, $55 billion. So they have $75 billion in their hands and more money that they're proposing to bring in the future to fund them for the next 10 years. The way to reimagining a new immigration system is to claw the money back and make sure that that money is given first to Medicaid and then to the SNAP programs that have been dramatically dismantled. Yes, we must unmask ICE agents. Yes, we should have sensitive locations like houses of worship, schools, and hospitals. Yes, we should deny them the ability to use deadly force. But most importantly, we need to take the money out of it because that's what's fueling this illegal behavior. These three major signature projects, along with energy equipment for small businesses and getting rid of ICE, are my priority in Congress. With your help, we could make it happen. God bless you and keep the faith.
Thank you, Congressmember, for your continued partnership, your support of our community, and for everything that you do in Washington. And what an exciting vision, a future of transportation that will bring so many of the city's residents uptown to enjoy our local businesses, to patronize our local shops. That's an exciting, exciting vision, and we can't wait for it to come to fruition. Well, the Congressmember is working hard for us in Washington. Our next speaker that I'm going to bring to the stage is working hard for us down at City Hall. Councilmember Carmen de la Rosa, if you could come to the stage. Councilmember.
Thank you to the Chamber for waking us up bright and early and bushy-tailed. We are here. This week, honestly, has been one of the hardest weeks for our community. We experienced a tragic fire, which we heard our borough president talk a little bit about. But I do have to recognize that because of that tragic fire, we lost 3 of our neighbors, including a mom and a daughter, including a young man just starting his life, 25 years old. So I want us just to take a moment of silence to recognize those neighbors that we've lost. Thank you all. It's been a very difficult week. We've been on site with our neighbors on Dykeman Street for the last 4 days. And I want to thank the borough president, the congressman, the senator, the assembly member who have all been there, and their teams have all been there around the clock. You know, we have over 100 displaced residents, including children. We have elderly, 90, 94, 95. We have 5 neighbors in critical condition. We have 2 businesses that also are impacted, a barber shop and a medical dental office. And SBS has actually been on site as well, helping those businesses. We want to thank the community for the outpouring of support. As the borough president mentioned, there are 4 sites that are donation sites, including the community board, which is right near here, including Holy Trinity Church, including NYMIC, and including the borough president's office on 125th Street. So if you all find it in your hearts and have to give, these families need toiletries, these families need shoes, these families need work clothes. Believe it or not, in the midst of displacement, people are asking me, how can we go to work? That is our community. Even in the ashes, they lift up and they go to work. That's what they know how to do. So with that in mind, I want us to just think about all of the issues that are impacting our community. I want to thank Jackie Aleman for being a force of nature. Thank you, Jackie, for all the work and the board of the chamber that you are doing. You know, we know that our small businesses are not only an economic engine, the second largest employer in our community is hospitality. First is the hospital, third is nonprofit. So we know that without our small businesses, this community cannot thrive economically. But we also know that as a community, our small businesses are also the heart, the beating heart of our culture, of our expression, you know, and it is important and it is a privilege to work with Jackie and her team to make sure that our businesses are at the forefront of the work that we do. I want to piggyback on my colleagues, the borough president, the congressman, who had excellent presentations today of what we can do together. I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing in the council in terms of navigating city services, navigating quality of life issues, which is sort of the flag that I take up as the council member, whether it's dealing with sanitation services in our community and making sure that our community is clean. Our office has been dedicated to making sure that in addition to the city budget that gets allocated to our district every year, we add an additional sometimes $90,000, sometimes $100,000 to the Department of Sanitation for manual pickups that happen in the community. We also are funding our bids in the community, the Washington Heights bid, and I need to shout out Yvonne Stenen and all of the work that is happening for the creation of a new bid in our community from 155th Street to 178th Street on Broadway, which is going to be a critical, which is and will continue to be, but it's a critical project because if you walk down Broadway, one of the things that is most shocking is the vacancy rates on Broadway. And you're like, this is Broadway. Why are businesses closed? The reason that businesses are closed is because when we talk about the affordability agenda and our mayor and the city council is headstrong in dealing with the affordability agenda, our businesses are not exempt from that affordability agenda. When I speak to a small business and they tell me, Carmen, in order to keep my doors open, I have to pay $38,000 a month. $20,000 a month, $15,000 a month, without taking into account food, maintenance, employee labor. Our businesses are really, really stretched to the limit. And so that affordability crisis is here, and that's why we're seeing such vacancy rates. We know that when our commercial corridors have such high vacancy rates, along with that comes quality of life issues. We've been dealing with things like the opioid crisis in our community. We've been working hand in hand with the Department of Health, with the Parks Department. Believe it or not, Northern Manhattan, we are the home of the second largest green space in Manhattan outside of Central Park. And our parks and our businesses are connected as well. And so dealing and working in collaboration with the Department of Health, with the hospital, with On Point, which is the safe injection site on 179th Street, to make sure that we're dealing with the crisis at hand when it comes to opioid use in our community, has been a challenge and something that we continue to do. As the city rolls out programs like outdoor dining, and I know that our Nightlife mayor, he comes out in the daytime though. Jeff Garcia is here. He's a vampire. You're a vampire, Jeff? Yeah, he's a vampire, but he's safe in the daytime. Jeff Garcia has been such an ally to us in helping our businesses understand that outdoor dining program. And there is conversations happening at the city council right now about making the outdoor dining program year round. I know there's some quality of life issues that comes with that, but we're dealing with that as well. And in addition to that, utilizing our plazas and public spaces as extensions for cultural expression, for businesses, for our community is going to be super important. We've been meeting with the chamber and some of our nonprofit allies uptown, the Parks Department and the city, about the opportunities that will come with the FIFA World Cup. We heard the borough president talk a little bit about that. And we're trying to come up with a plan. It's only in a few weeks. We're trying to come up with a plan uptown to make sure that our businesses can also take advantage of the opportunities to come. So more on that soon. I also wanted to mention that I've been working with our neighbor, Councilmember and now Majority Leader Sean Abreu, in the conversation around ferry service to Upper Manhattan. When I think about our small businesses and I think about some of the challenges of getting people uptown, one of the things that always is at the forefront is that the things that are happening downtown don't always happen uptown, right? And we don't want all the things, no offense, borough president, that happen downtown to happen uptown. But we do want the foot traffic for our small businesses. And one of the conversations that's also happening in the city council, and I'm proud to be working with Councilmember Abreu on this, our majority leader and transportation chair, is this conversation around ferry service to Upper Manhattan. We have very rich waterfronts, and we want to make sure that the same way that people can get on a ferry and go to Brooklyn, and this conversation is happening about Brooklyn and the Bronx, that Northern Manhattan is not left behind in that vision. So we're working on that as well. And then finally, I want to talk about flash flooding. Our community, whether we remember it or not, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, is an environmental justice community. When we think about the social determinants of health, I sound like Columbia, like the hospital right now. Julio's looking at me. Yes, Julio, I'm taking your talking points. Our environment has such an influence on our health. And here in Northern Manhattan, you all have seen how flash flooding has created severe damages for our small businesses. Last year, our office partnered with DEP to provide flood kits to our small businesses. We have a lot of small businesses. You know, this is the Heights. Everybody thinks, oh, they're on the top. Well, when water goes up, it has to come down. So there's peaks and valleys, and we have a major infrastructure issue when it comes to the floodplain here in Northern Manhattan. So we've been working with the city, we've been working with DP to come up with infrastructure projects for George Hill, for example. There's an investment happening there because that area of Dykeman Street tends to flood, by our parks as well, to deal with flash flooding. And so our businesses are an important part of that conversation because we have a lot of storefront businesses that are in those valleys that are impacted by severe weather. So I look forward to continuing to have those conversations. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be here today to learn from all of you and to partner with all of you to make sure that the needs of our small businesses are at the forefront. You know, my dad was a bodeguero. I tell this story all the time. My dad opened a grocery store with his brothers in the Bronx when, you know, the Bronx was burning. And I remember that my dad used to go to work early in the morning and come home early in the morning the next day. And my mom used to leave a little chair by my bed, and my dad would bring one of the toys from the grocery store and leave it by my bed. That's how I knew he had come home. So our business owners in our community, they sacrifice everything, including their families, to make sure that their businesses stay afloat. So it is our job as government to intercede and to make sure that you all can continue to survive. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Councilmember De La Rosa. I also, before our next speaker comes up, I just want to acknowledge we are fortunate enough to be joined by a representative from Manhattan, Manhattan Borough President, from New York City Controller Mark Levine's office, Mariel de la Cruz, who's right here in the front row. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to the Controller for everything that he does. Now, when our current Manhattan Borough President was speaking, he mentioned what I think is a really great line, that when he was in the state Senate, he represented from the gay bars to Zay bars. And in addition to being a really great line, that also reflects a really important point about the history of our city, which is that we are the birthplace of LGBTQ rights in America. After all, the reason cities around the world celebrate Pride and hold parades and host thousands and thousands of people who come and shop and enjoy their destination is because of the Stonewall riots that happened in New York City in that June of 1969. And we are very fortunate to be able to celebrate that history and to be able to take advantage of the economic driver that represents. And so with that, I want to bring up our next guest. Barton Jackson is the Executive Director of the National LGBTQ+ Chamber of Commerce. Barton?
Morning, everyone. Well, now I feel like the pretense has completely evaporated from my intro. So you may no longer be wondering why a known homosexual is standing before you. But it's my absolute pleasure to be here. I really want to thank Jackie for inviting me to speak. So my name is Barton Jackson. My pronouns are he, him. I am the Executive Director of the National LGBTQ+ and Allied Chamber of Commerce for New York. It is a mouthful. You can just say NGLCCNY or the Chamber. Just, there's two of them here. I want to thank the Armory for making this space available for today. The last time I was here, since Washington Heights is my home, was I was one of those patients that was getting the COVID shots here. So it's nice to be back when it's not a pandemic. So when I was invited to discuss policy and legislative agenda for the chamber, there's one singular issue for us that I thought would be of interest to every business owner in this room, every municipal leader in this room, every employer or community partner. NGLCCNY does something rather unique as far as chambers are concerned. We certify businesses that are 51% owned and operated by LGBTQ+ U.S. persons. And we do this to make sure that our businesses are visible to corporate buyers, households, nonprofits, other small businesses, anyone who's looking to do business with our community. Because we are not included in minority or women business enterprise and emerging business enterprise certifications for the city. And there's a reason for that. Since the original disparity studies were done that informed those programs, LGBT businesses have never been counted nor considered. Yet, even as a small population of the state, roughly about 1.2 million, we estimate that there's about 58,000 LGBTQ plus NYC residents that are either partial or majority shareholders of companies. If you zoom out to the state, it's about 130,000. Now, if you want to translate that into jobs, that's probably about 100,000 jobs being secured by our employers in the city alone. And for the state, close to 250,000. And if you want to take that a step further, that translates to about 58 billion in GDP for the state. So we are a small community, but we are a contributor to this economy. We're in every borough, we're in every neighborhood. And so we have a very simple legislative ask that we've been positioning in front of City Council. And I'm so excited to hear our borough president's support. And that is a disparity study that includes LGBT businesses. We mentioned Pride. It's more than just a protest and a march and a festival. I mean, yes, you see the floats and people ooh and on, there's bubbles in sky and rainbow flags everywhere. But in looking at the participation of businesses with Pride, as we organize out there, regardless of your line or industry. The other thing that's really important about a disparity report, as I mentioned earlier, is that it informs the city about its minority and women business enterprise initiatives. And if you add an additional voice or population to that population, there's an opportunity to make sure those studies get done and done regularly. The last one is over 8 years old, which means when you look for a corporation or a municipal stakeholder or somebody else to be an investment in your neighborhood, they're working off of stale data. And that makes it very tough to make informed decisions. Since the Stonewall riots, since the first Pride marches, LGBTQ plus New Yorkers have been a health and human services policy agenda. After 46 years, I'm asking City Council, the mayor's office, the small business commissioner, to evolve us into a business issue. Let us be known contributors to our economy, known employers, investors, innovators, and part of that economic engine. That is an opportunity for all of us to engage and for businesses to get to know one another. And so for the audience here, I'll leave you with one simple ask. Make sure you know each other. Be genuinely and sincerely curious about the business owner across from you. As Jackie mentioned, policy is about people, business is about community, and what we can all do to bring us forward into 2026 and 2027 and decades, perhaps by the time that we're all gone, is making sure that we're all visible and we're all counted. Thank you.
Thank you, Barton. Our next guest has probably the best title in city government. I'm really excited to hear from him because those of us who live and work in Washington Heights and Inwood know that part of our business community is that we are a nightlife destination, especially Dyckman Street, but really all across our community. And so with that, I'd like to bring up Jeffrey Garcia, New York City's nightlife mayor. Jeffrey, welcome to the stage.
Hola, buenos dias. Aren't we excited? Right? Happy hour will be here soon. My name is Jeffrey Garcia. Actually, the title is Executive Director of the Office of Nightlife. So colloquially, yes, across the world, it's known as the Nightlife Mayor position, which was started in Amsterdam. So I use it fondly. I want to tell you a little bit about me. I was born and raised in this community. So this community is near and dear to me, on Academy and Post. I later went on to become an NYPD police officer and retired as a first grade detective 12 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm aging myself now. Then opened a small business in this community. My wife now has a business on Dyckman Street, called Mon Amour Coffee and Wine. I also started an advocacy association in this community called the New York State Latino Restaurant Bar and Lounge Association to help our Latino business owners in this community. And when I was a young man, borough president, I worked at Zabar's. So, and now my office sits in the Department of Small Business Services. The Department of Small Business Services here in New York supports over 180,000 businesses in this city. And we have programs like our NYC Best Team, which support businesses with free compliance advisors to walk through your business, right? And identify potential violations to save you money, to keep the money in your pocket, and to put that money where it's best suited, right? Which is advancing your business, which is hiring new people. So we want folks to reach out to us and take advantage of these type of programs. We saved businesses over $60 million last year through this program. We have things like free commercial lease assistance to help you keep money, again, in your pocket, providing free legal assistance if you want to renew or you're getting into a new lease. We have fund finders, right? The mayor just put out a new loan program that we can help you find financial assistance, right, through local CDFIs. We have here David Correas, my dear colleague, who works with the MWBE program. So he's here. Reach out to David. He's in the back. He can help you become certified here in the city of New York, which then in turn can help you get contracts with the city. And we support our bids, which I believe Isidro might be here, right? And our business solution centers, which again helps businesses locally. And all this fits right into the mayor's plan when he came in, EO 11, Executive Order 11, on how we can support businesses. How can we get businesses to open faster? How can we cut red tape, right? And SBS works with every single agency in this city to do that. So we're happy that the mayor's taking this on and has put SBS to lead this. Now to talk about Nightlife, which is the area that I run within the Department of Small Business Services. Nightlife, the economic output of Nightlife for this city is $35 billion. That's a lot of tax revenue that helps support a lot of other things across this city. It supports 300,000 jobs. So it's an important part of our ecosystem and our communities, like the council member said. A lot of this, the second employer you said, here uptown, huge, and all across this city. And it's what keeps New York vibrant. It's why 1 in every 3 tourists that comes to New York looks at what nightlife is in this city and how it's become such a 5-borough nightlife city. And I'm sorry, Borough President, I know it was always Manhattan, right? But nightlife has become a 5-borough city. So I'm really excited about the work that we're doing. And within my office, we do work to mitigate issues, right, between the venues and the community with programs like CURE, coordinating a united resolution with the establishment, with MEND, which is a free mediation program that if there are issues with a community member and a venue related to quality of life, like noise or sanitary problems, we can bring these folks together to talk to each other. And what we've realized that in 87% of the cases, when people talk to each other, we can find resolutions. And we do great work in harm reduction. Nobody would have thought that, this is what our office does. But we have a program called Narcan Behind Every Bar, right? We understand what the opioid crisis is across our city and across our state. And we train and provide Narcan kits for nightlife venues to have, just like they have a first aid kit behind their bar. And again, not because there are issues related to people overdosing in venues, but we want to be ready to give someone a second chance at life if needed. It could be something that's happening outside your venue. And now the police or the community may know, hey, that venue has Narcan. And those few seconds there is what really can make a difference in saving somebody's life. So I'm really excited about the work that we do. And I'm really, obviously the council member mentioned it, our emergency response team. Like in those moments of emergency, we're there right away to respond and help businesses, right, get the insurance information and hopefully recover quickly so that that business can then open back up in that community. So really happy about the work that we do. And I just want to end by saying, because he was the last speaker here, we do a lot of work with the LGBTQ community. We fund different programs. I was just at the 60th anniversary of the SIP-In, which is another major moment, right, in the LGBTQ community. So there's a lot of great work that we do here at the Office of Nightlife and also at the Department of Small Business Services. Please reach out to us and we can help you open faster, navigate the city, and really make this and continue making the city the greatest city in the world through our small businesses. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, before you say, I'm up here today also because our great commissioner was not able to make it because he is celebrating his first baby that was just born on Monday. So let's congratulate him and his family and, welcome their new baby. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And so our last guest today, last but not least, is going to speak to a very important issue for many of our businesses. We talked earlier about the importance of social media outreach. Well, for businesses, there are many different ways that you can reach your client base. And one of them, especially for the chamber, is streetscape advertising. And when you're walking around the city, you may have noticed the LinkNYC towers that inform us. They provide trivia, upcoming events. If the council member or the borough president have an event, that's sometimes the first place that I'll see it posted. And in the chamber's case, we're very fortunate to have been able to partner with LinkNYC and the word out and tell all of the great things that we're doing. And so with that, I'd like to bring to the stage our next and last speaker, Nicole Robinson Etienne, the Senior Director of External Affairs for LinkNYC.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Nicole Robinson Etienne. As just mentioned, I'm the Senior Director of External Affairs at LinkNYC. I have with me my colleague, Francis Bates, who is the Manager of Community and Government Relations. My nose, Francis. It's such an honor to be here today with the Chamber alongside so many leaders committed to strengthening New York City's small business community. I want to thank our council member, our commissioners, our elected officials, and our Manhattan Borough President who brought his team here. But where's Tyler? Tyler calls our office on a regular to post all the great information that you have. So we want to thank him for utilizing our screens to promote your grant program and everything else that you were doing. Your leadership, all of you, is essential to building a more inclusive and resilient local economy. And I want to especially thank and acknowledge our partnership with Jackie and the Chamber. We've already had the opportunity to host marketing trainings together for local businesses where we showed entrepreneurs just how easy it is to place an ad on our screens. And that is exactly the kind of hands-on support we are excited to keep growing together. At LinkNYC, we believe that connectivity is a human right, and that when we invest in digital access, we invest in neighborhoods and the community businesses that power them. Updated Link Local program isn't designed to just drive foot traffic for local entrepreneurs and small business owners. It's also intended to amplify the impactful work done by nonprofits and CBOs at a time when the need is greater and people are struggling. How many nonprofits are here today? And we look forward to working with you with our Link Local community program. And right here in this district, we have a massive asset of over 180 digital screens right here on our LinkNYC network. And we want these screens to be the megaphone for community staples like Salsa in the Heights, as Jackie just mentioned, and the Dominican Taste Festival to ensure it gets the turnout that it deserves. So for many small businesses, large-scale advertising might feel out of reach, but LinkNYC levels that playing field so mom and pops can show up right alongside major brands on Broadway. And LinkNYC screens are for everyone, regardless of your business's size or your nonprofit's budget. So today, we're offering everyone here a special Wahi discount code. Even if you have a little bit more than $0, even if your budget is $2 a day or $20 a day, or even if you don't have graphic design or marketing skills, we can help you meet your needs. And we encourage you to give LinkNYC a try. And today, also, if you put in your business card in the bowl as you came in, you have just been entered into a raffle for free custom ad on the LinkNYC network. So we remain committed to ensuring that LinkNYC screens reflect the communities they serve, highlighting local businesses, sharing hyper-local information, and connecting people to resources and opportunities. And that's only possible through our partnership with organizations like the Chamber and the BIDS, and with city leaders and agencies, and with all of you. So my message today is simple. This is a partnership. I want you to use LinkNYC. We want to train you. We want to help you show up and grow. And we want to keep working with the Chamber to bring more resources and more visibility and more opportunity directly to community businesses. Because when small businesses thrive, the entire neighborhood thrives. And that's what this is really all about. So if you've ever walked past a link and thought, how do I get my business up there? Francis after this, and we'll make it happen. Thank you.
All right. And we're going to end today's program with two more sets of speakers. First, if Jackie, you could come up to the stage with me, and we have those. Okay. So today's event is the product of hard work of a lot of people at the Chamber. Jackie mentioned them at the outset, but we do want to end our program by thanking everyone who made today possible, beginning with two very important individuals, Jorge Tuto Taveras, who I'd like to bring up to the stage, taking him away from his audiovisual duties, and Jonathan Ullman. When you look at what we have on the screen, what we put on our website, what we produce, what we advertise, it doesn't happen without these two individuals. And so we want to give them a small token of appreciation, which Jackie will present.
So we are proud to recognize John Hoylman, John, who has been a dedicated member of the Chamber for approximately 8 years and an essential force in its day and behind day-to-day operation. His commitment to both technical and administrative responsibility, John has consistently ensured that the Chamber operates smoothly and effectively. John has truly been the adhesive holding everything together, especially during times of leadership transition. His steady presence, reliability, and problem-solving mindset have had a lasting impact in our Chamber. So, John, today we want to recognize all your effort and dedication. Thank you.
So I just want to thank Jackie, the Chamber, the board, the members. You know, when Jackie first mentioned this to me, the first words that flew out of my mouth was, "You really don't have to do this." She said, "I'm going to do it anyway." So I thought, wouldn't naming a building after me be easier? But I've had an idea since then. So how about the John Ullman, Washington Heights Ballroom? Because if we need a ballroom, it's right here. No, but thank you all, Ed. Thank you very much. There's an old Cole Porter song, Katie Goes to Haiti, which I've come to realize has kind of mirrored my experience up here. Katie went to Haiti, stopped off for a rest. Katie made it native. Katie was impressed. So I referred you all to that song to kind of, my journey up here in Washington Heights. When Katie died at 80, they buried her at State. Maybe you'll build a ballroom for me then. And one last thing too, little shameless self-promotion. After the art stroll on June 1st, my friend Led Black and I from the Uptown Collective are hosting our second annual unofficial after party at the Hilltop Park Ale House. So please come by June 1st after the art stroll, because I know you're all going to the art stroll. So anyway, thank you very much, Jackie, the board, and everybody.
Thank you. Okay, so our second honoree is Jorge Tuto Taveras, a valued Chamber member since 2024, but who has quickly become an incredible asset, partner, and collaborator. Tuto has played a key role in elevating our work, leading the filming of our monthly Member of the Month interviews, providing guidance on marketing and technical projects, contributing photography, and supporting the overall production of our events. In fact, the video that you saw at the beginning of the event was his creation. And every time I see that video, I cry. So today, the chamber, the board, the community wants to thank you for all the work that you've done. Thank you.
Not speaking, but what comes to mind is long ago when I started this path of spirituality, and after I overcame my religious, fever, service and community has been at the center of my life. It has filled my life like nothing has. So it should be me thanking you for allowing me to be of service and to be part of this community. Thank you.
All right, John.
Tuto and John, thank you so much. And last but not least, that's exactly. I want to call up every member of the chamber. Oh, wait, he's saying what photo is it?
Photo and then the board member.
And so now, for real, every single member of the Chamber of Commerce, if you can, make your way onto the stage. As I mentioned, this would not have been possible without everyone's hard work. And so I want to make sure all of our colleagues on the board have the opportunity to stand before you so you can give them a round of applause. Thank you to the members of our board.
Very
Thanks, everyone. Everyone, please enjoy our local businesses and sponsors. Thank you. And network. The kitchen is also open, Jackie.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Uptown Voices. If you enjoy our work, please consider making a financial contribution to Uptown Voices. Contributions go a long way. You can contribute by scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting bit.ly/Uptown Voices 2026. If you can't make a financial contribution, please spread the word about our show to friends and family. And to stay up to date on the latest in Uptown, you can follow Uptown Collective on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you're watching Uptown Voices on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and to give us a like. Until next time, this has been Uptown Voices.